he says that he can smell when it's going to rain.
I
Like, you
used
don't smell that? And I'm like, it's going to rain. And I'm like, okay. I did not know that you could do that. I didn't know anybody could do that. Welcome to the Opposites Unite podcast.
where we discuss real estate and lifestyle topics,
Break barriers
build connections,
and find common ground.
let's unite. So there are some things I would not recommend fixing if you want to sell your house. Like, for example, I mean, I probably wouldn't redo an entire kitchen or a bathroom, right?
Right. I think the kitchens can get really expensive when you start
Yeah, they
gutting
can.
them all down and getting their money back. The biggest thing I believe people don't know is that when you're taking a kitchen out, you're actually taking a kitchen that works, even though it's not a perfectly great kitchen. It's not the ideal kitchen, but you're killing a bad kitchen.
Well, yeah, and you're never going to really get your money back on a
Right.
full kitchen remodel, right? You want to enjoy that while you're living there. You don't want to give that
Right.
away.
So if you do essentially tear out that kitchen and put a whole new kitchen in there, you're only going to get the difference in value, right? That's kind of the way I look at it from a value investment perspective. So if you do some touching up of the kitchen, which is like maybe some knobs on the countertops, maybe even on the cabinets, and paint the cabinets, that's always a good touch. And
Yeah,
it's not super expensive.
It's not too expensive to like refinish the cabinets, right? And
Right.
put some knobs on. I think when we bought our house, it had some like old looking oak cabinets, and we sanded them down. We didn't do it ourselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, that's for sure. We did not do it ourselves. But we had them refinished by a professional. He sanded them down and he sprayed, I think like a lacquer or something. I remember
It was strong.
it smelled really bad.
Yeah.
But then I went on Wayfair and I bought some really beautiful chrome handles that weren't very expensive, and we put those on. I mean,
The fixtures,
it's
right?
an entirely different kitchen.
Yeah, I would say that's a good investment and good rate of return, because now the kitchen looks somewhat new or modern, right? And that was money well spent. Other places you don't want to do any repairs on are, like, let's just say the roof. If the roof has a small leak, you don't want to replace the whole roof, because
Right.
that can be pretty expensive.
Yeah.
You can patch repair a roof, and if it's towards the end of its life, it can become a negotiation during the sale, but I would leave it there.
Yeah. Well, for 1 second though, I want to go back to the kitchen and bath, because those are.
Oh, we didn't say bath.
Oh, I did.
You
Yeah.
just said bath. I didn't address the bath.
Oh,
why.
that's okay.
I
That's
was- I
okay.
stayed in the kitchen.
You hear what you want to hear.
I guess so.
But like on bathrooms and stuff, right? Because obviously kitchens and bathrooms are the most expensive things to fix, but they do make I think the biggest impact. So, I mean, you want to just make sure like the freeways obviously make it, clean, as clean as possible, right? Because you can declutter, you can scrub the grout if it's not granite or something like
There's
that.
a lot of value in clean.
For sure.
People don't think that that's like the most underrated thing that,
And it's free.
yeah, no, and that's not free.
Well,
I mean,
Well, it's your
elbow
time.
grease is a little expensive sometimes, depending on, but it
guess.
is the least expensive thing to do.
Yeah.
Right?
But another thing you can do is
And I think it gets you the most bang for your buck.
very true. So we're about to open escrow on a house, probably today or tomorrow. And I noticed when I had showed it that the tub and the bottom of the shower, like they're worn and faded and all, they don't look good anyways. So my client was like, hey, do we have to like replace all this? Because that's going to be crazy expensive. And I said, no, there's actually a thing you can do where you can reglaze it.
Yeah, so that's like a spray, but it's more like a gel spray that they put over the surfaces, right? The countertops. I've had a pink those pink tile
What?
countertops?
Pink?
Pink. So I was like, oh, okay, we need to bring this back down. And it was actually in a nice community, nice home, but it just had a very eccentric type owner, right? So,
Was it from the 70s?
It was 80s. It was
Oh,
80s.
okay,
Yeah, and
okay.
it was in a nice area, but so we were asking top dollar for it. So we reglazed it to like a light tan color, which was more neutral and more, appealing. It wasn't so far off.
Okay. I mean, another thing that comes to mind is the flooring, right? You don't want to have to completely replace flooring, but I mean, at the same time, make sure it's thoroughly clean, or if there's stains or odors on the carpet. You can have the carpets shampooed, but if they're so far gone, you might want to replace carpet. Carpet's pretty
Yeah,
inexpensive fix, right?
carpet's a pretty. You know what it is? Also, is it's fast. Like tile floors can take a week to 2 weeks to replace because they have to jackhammer that stuff out, re-level the surface, and it's more expensive. So carpet is a quick and easy fix. Shampoo it first, right? And then if it doesn't clean out, or bad odors or something like that, that's pet odors. We've had, remember those few houses that we
Oh,
had
yeah.
where the floors just weren't going to come clean because it
Yeah.
actually gets into the underlayment or the padding, and then it's stuck in there, and you're just always fighting or masking an odor.
And every once in a while, you find a hidden gem under the carpet, right? Have you ever found wood floors?
No, it's like the most cliche thing to find, but I've never found a set of beautiful parquet wood floors under there.
They were, and actually, it's funny you say that. They were parquet wood
Yeah,
floors.
'cause that's
Like
the old school stuff.
it
Those
is. It
little,
was
like,
old school, and somebody actually carpeted over those.
yeah, that was the thing to do back in the day. Clearly, right? I think what happened is the wood floors wear down. The varnishing and lacquering and all thing became a dated concept at some point, and then they just threw carpet over it. Boom, quick fix. And now the quick fix is to rip it back out and refinish the floors.
Yeah,
So-
because most people these days don't want carpet. They want hard floor surfaces.
Right.
And I mean, even a worn out wood floor, that's real wood. You can sand that down and restain it. It's not like the laminate, that we have today.
Yeah.
So you get lucky if you've got wood floors underneath the carpet.
Right. That is a thing that saves you a lot of money, and you get a lot of bang for your buck if you can do it. If you get lucky. Now, those mid-50s homes, kind of like right around in that era, they had that parquet. They were raised foundation floors. Those where they had the crawl space underneath, those might have that. But the foundations won't have it, which are probably like 60s and forward. Yeah, so, okay. Carpets, flooring is expensive, especially like hardwood floor.
Yeah,
Like
it
hardwood,
definitely
solid.
can.
Or even engineered.
It definitely can be. Another thing that comes to mind is cracks in the driveway. I don't ever really recommend that our sellers fix those because
No.
the earth is shifting all the time. And I mean, it's just normal for.
I'd be aware of tripping hazards. That's something that we
Yeah,
had to do.
yes, I
And,
agree with you.
We had one that had like a 6-inch gap in between the driveway. So like it was a tripping hazard, and they were worried about that. And we had the concrete guy cut out a section, like a strip, right? Like just a foot strip. And then he replaced it and kind of made it blend. Other times you can grind it down, but if it's high, otherwise, no, I don't ever address that. And even if like during home inspections, if people ask for it, I'm very hesitant to do anything about it. Like, or, obviously it's the seller's discretion, but I don't generally recommend that.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, our sellers can always fix anything that they want before they put it on the market. I'm not really going to argue there because, it's obviously easier to sell a beautiful home that's well maintained. But, if they ask my opinion, I definitely think that, less is more because I want our sellers to get the most bang for their, want them to get the most out of their home. Right.
Well,
So
we live in California. We're constantly shifting.
yeah.
Concrete cracks. You can't like get a big, huge slab. That's why they put those lines in there so that it can shift a little bit and not crack, but still it cracks. So you do what you work with what you got to
Yes.
the most extent,
Yes.
unless again if it's we always say a health and safety issue, right? And a trip hazard starts falling in that space, so
I agree.
then you have to address it.
I agree. Another thing that may come to mind is replacing the front door. I've had people ask me, should I replace a worn out front door? I don't really think so. I mean, I think a lot of times with front doors, they're wood. You can sand them down, you can repaint them, you can make them almost like nearly new. And new front doors are really costly.
Yeah, I wouldn't if I were selling it, unless I can't think of a door that I've ever like said we have to replace this front door. Although yeah, I'm remembering one where she had to replace it, and she went to Home Depot. She like called a private person. Home Depot delivered them, but she had to have somebody else install them because Home Depot was taking too long. Anyways, she felt that way, but I didn't agree with her so much. I thought painting them and sanding them and just giving them a nice. And this is the thing, you don't want to over improve for your neighborhood. right? I mean, you can put these humongous, like, beautiful metal doors that are like, big pivot doors, like those ones that you see that are in like really high-end homes. Those are beautiful, right? But you don't want to put it in a middle, in the right and wrong neighborhood, right?
Well, yeah, because if you over improve for the neighborhood, you will definitely
not see your money back.
You're not going to get your
And
investment
that's the
back.
biggest thing about probably everything that we're discussing with regards to kitchen, flooring, and all. It all should blend with the neighborhood and the style of the neighborhood and the level of the neighborhood. So that's what
agree.
also a huge factor, right? You don't want to over improve for the neighborhood.
Yeah, and you can also put like fresh hardware on. That makes a really big difference too on the front door.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. You're pretty good at the aesthetics of things or the looks. I probably am more functional, right? And that's kind of how we differ and
And how we complement each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you always look at it from it's pretty, and I'm looking at it from what works. And sometimes I forget how things are pretty, and then you forget somehow how things work. But you know what? At the end of the day, we wind up with things that are pretty and work, right? So like, hey, that's the plan.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and so there's so many things that you could do or not do, but it's all a matter of doing what's necessary to get your home sold, right?
Right.
One thing I see a lot though is window coverings, and those can be expensive to replace. And my mom is going to kill me right now because she is in the window covering business for 25 years. But I'm going to say I recommend to most people that they do not replace their window coverings just because they are so costly.
It depends, on what you have. Some people have really dated stuff, and the hardest part that we see is that people put a lot of money into their window coverings, and then when it gets outdated, they don't want to touch them because it was such an expensive venture at the time that they don't want to touch it. And you know what? I kind of don't want. I agree with you in that sense.
I would rather see somebody take off the window coverings and leave
I feel
it.
like I'm saying two things.
And
like
leave
I'm
it.
contradicting myself in that one.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying. Old curtains and valances, they can really date the house.
Right.
So I agree with you. But I'm also saying, like, maybe instead of replacing it, maybe just put nothing there, because your taste might not be somebody else's taste. So your buyer may come in, and after you've spent all this money putting up new shutters or whatever. I don't think I've ever met anybody that didn't like shutters.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, let's say you put shutters up and somebody's like, I hate shutters. I'm going to take these shutters down.
That'd be rare.
It would be.
But I guess it could happen. The expensive drapes, though, that's probably what's a little more painful because those can get really expensive really fast.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times they're custom.
Yep.
And they are very expensive.
And you can't reuse them anywhere else because they're custom.
I know.
So, but yeah, I agree with you. Take them down, clean up the holes, and just maybe some little patching there.
Yeah.
And that would be an inexpensive way of getting rid of an eyesore, right?
Definitely. If you're going to take them down, patch and paint for sure. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Can we go back to my roof now?
Okay. Oh, sorry.
We forgot about my roof.
Sorry.
Well, it's just things that I thought about, right? It just came to mind. So, like the roof, I do, you deal with people that want to like replace the whole roof, and it's like expensive to replace a roof. So, if you have a leak, you can, it's not like the whole roof is junk. Sometimes brand new roofs leak. But what they do is they take that section, especially if it's like a clay roof, right? They'll lift all the clay off. They'll replace the underlayment, the paper, repair what damage it's done, and then from there they'll put it all back and fix it, and then they'll water check it to make sure it doesn't leak. But that being said, that's what I would recommend doing. And if it ever does become an issue, like when it's towards the end of its life, then you negotiate it in the transaction, right? If somebody ever becomes, but you don't. Somebody may just be okay, like I understand I have to replace the roof, and they may just not even bring it up.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It usually does come up, though. In the home inspection, it's definitely going to come up.
Yeah.
And some sellers are okay with, with dealing with that expense or giving some credit for it, and then others just aren't.
There's a middle ground.
There is.
You can certify a roof. A roofer can come out and look at a roof. Obviously, if it's bad, he's not going to certify it, right? But if he does, and then you can get away with a more an inexpensive repair, right?
Yeah.
or an inexpensive certification.
Okay. Are you done with that one now?
I think so.
Okay. What about the landscaping?
Landscaping.
Do you think they should do anything with their landscaping?
I'd say clean it up. Don't leave it like, desert. Although desert is kind of a thing, right? Drought tolerant.
Well, let's say like no dead trees or bushes. You want to remove all of the stuff that's not working for the aesthetics. You want good curb appeal.
Yeah, absolutely. And installing some plants and just some small rose bushes or just some inexpensive things can really dress up a home and give it better curb appeal, right? And like again, this is not my strength, totally your strength in this space, but I mean, when a few plants and gives it life, and it does give it more curb appeal, and that's what when people walk up, they look at it. I have people, or I'm sure you do too, but you pull up to the house and they don't even get out of the car.
Oh yeah, if it's really ugly from the front.
Yeah, they'll just be like, nope, and they can't see past like a few issues in the front.
Needing a few little flowers, but yeah, I totally agree with you.
Dead grass, stuff like that.
That's a hard one.
Yeah,
mulch actually makes a really big difference.
It's a good little cleanup. Yeah,
it is. It really cleans up the planter and makes it look very manicured.
Right. It's a good trick, and it's again relatively inexpensive versus doing gutting the whole thing and starting from scratch.
Definitely. So I mean, like a little bonus tip, right? Just declutter. Less is more. You want to make sure that the spaces appear larger. So, start getting some boxes and pack up the stuff that really isn't needed. Put it in the garage, put it in storage, put it somewhere. Just don't leave it in the house.
Depersonalize and deep clean are two things that I would definitely recommend in every house. And I can't get over how much deep cleaning is a huge thing. Like I'm not a messy person, right?
No.
We can agree I'm not a messy person, but I think that get in the habit of just, even if you're are kind of like the person that leaves socks around, which I do it also too, right? but when you're going through that transition of showing the home, definitely don't do that. Make sure you throw everything in the hamper every day.
Oh my gosh, no.
On the way out.
Don't leave dirty dishes in the sink. Make your bed.
All that stuff, right? And you know what? And we're talking about repairs, right? But so these are not repairs. But if you do this, it's just kind of like the little string that they tug on that keeps kind of ongoing, like the sweater.
These are simple and free things. And when you're selling your house, you want it to show in its best light possible.
Right.
So when somebody comes in your house, if there's dirty dishes in the sink, the bed's not made, and there's crap everywhere, they're really going to get the feeling like you don't care about your house and that you're probably not maintaining it well.
Right. Yeah. I think that's even a subconscious thing. I don't think people really are so conscious that they are thinking that, but they do. They kind of devalue the home in their mind and in their heart, right? And that's where the kind of subconscious lives. What I'm talking about, and then at some point they kind of don't fall in love with the home.
Absolutely. And smells too. I mean, smells are such a big thing. I mean, all the senses, right? You want to make sure that you're hitting all the senses.
That's why the clean thing, right? I mean, when you walk into a home and when we get home and it's just been cleaned, you smell it.
We just lost the lights. Wave your hand or something so the light turns back on.
There it is.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, so I mean, clean it, make it smell good, plug-ins, candles, whatever you got to do. Because I had this guy once, and it's funny because I'm a very clean person, and smells really get to me. But this one guy that I would take around showing houses, he had such a nose. I'm telling you, we would walk into houses and he would crinkle his nose up and turn around and walk out.
It was just a smell?
But it was sometimes stuff I didn't even smell. So some people are just extra sensitive. You want to just...
We have a friend that can smell when it's going to rain.
Who?
Our friend John. He says that he can smell when it's going to rain. You don't smell that? And I'm like, it's going to rain. And I'm like, okay. I did not know that you could do that. I didn't know anybody could do that. I mean, I got the Doppler radar, you know what I mean? That's what I'm going with.
Do you ever feel it in your knee? Because I know you've had knee surgeries and stuff. Do you ever feel an ache in your knee when it's about to rain?
No.
I've heard of that.
Well, I think it's like more of a, I don't know, arthritis thing.
You're getting old.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Well, after knee surgeries and basketball, it does hurt to move on post basketball days. So, yeah, I don't know how rain comes into play, but I'll try to be more aware of that and like look.
Now you're going to pay attention to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna like coincide my pain with rain. Only one letter away.
Oh boy. Okay, I think we've
Gone-
we've exhausted this one to death. I think
Okay, all
I
right.
think that's pretty much it. That's all that really comes to mind for me. I'm sure maybe I'll think of more later, but
Right, as soon as
But-
we get off.
that's a good start.
All right.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for tuning in to the Opposites Unite podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to leave a comment for a chance to get a shout out in our next video. See you next time.